For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to StratNews Global. We kick off a special series on climate change and the mitigation strategy that nations must follow individually and collectively. The COP26 conference coming up in November in the UK is a reference point for almost everyone now to a way ahead as far as climate change mitigation is concerned. And joining me today is a special guest, Denmark's ambassador to India, Freddy Svane, joining me virtually to discuss Denmark's contribution as well as Denmark's strategies for climate change mitigation and what nations can do collectively. Ambassador, welcome to this program, and thank you very much once again for joining us. We last spoke on the World Environment Day, but today I want to ask you about what Denmark thinks of the upcoming COP26 and what nations must do or must ensure when the conference begins, or what should be the outcome of the conference.
First, I think you have picked the right beginning by, of course, focusing on COP26, but also on Denmark. I think Denmark is a cutting-edge nation when it comes to adapting to the climate changes and really to take an international lead. You rightly said that there was the World Environment Day, but now we have to make each and every day a day of climate, because the crisis is really clear to all of us and there's no way out of it. So that calls for international cooperation, and we do hope that Denmark, with our inspirations, the way in which we have conducted our development, green development, that can inspire many other countries. And therefore, now we are sitting in India. Of course, the Green Strategic Partnership is the platform, and we think that's the right approach that will also help India coping with the challenges of climate.
Indeed. So one of the, or two or three of the main objectives that the COP26 has spoken about, that they want those outcomes to be on those lines, is basically to reduce emissions, strengthen adaptation and resilience, and scale up finance and support. In each of these, I'm sure Denmark has some, and you also have some strategy to tackle this for your own country as well as your friends like India and elsewhere. Can you just elaborate on some of those points, please?
Thank you very much. Yes, of course. I think I will start with the newest input from Denmark. The government just announced its new budget for the coming year. And I think as the first country ever in the developed world, we will set aside money that will equal our commitment back in 2009, where we had the COP15 in Denmark, where there was a political statement, commitment that the developing countries should have at least $100 billion per year to deal with the climate-related challenges. Denmark is now setting aside what is equaling our share in that context. So that's one important point. The second point is, of course, we take note of the fact that each and every country has a right to develop, and that goes for India. We know that India, of course, being the third largest emitter in global terms, but each and every Indian is only leaving 1/3 of the global average on CO2 as a CO2 footprint. So India has the right to develop, but what we say and what we would like to see is that India will peak its economy in a green, sustainable way. And we don't see any split between development and economic progress. Denmark and the Danish society has shown that you can combine these two and that you can develop a far better, more resilient, more greener and sustainable economy and a society. And the urgency of the hour is really to combine these two things.
Indeed. In fact, Denmark has been a leader in the climate change mitigation strategies and technologies. In that context, what have you offered in terms of technology, green technology to India? And what is it that you are looking forward to as far as collaboration between Denmark and India is concerned?
May I just inform you that our Minister for Climate is coming next week to India. We'll go to Chennai, Tamil Nadu, where we'll see a lot of Danish companies who are now investing in the green energy transition, especially wind energy or grids and so forth. And Tamil Nadu has really become the hub for Danish green investment. So we'll go down there. But then the minister will also come to Delhi to have political consultations. And what we offer is what your Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Modi, at once said. India has the scale, Denmark has the skills, meaning solutions. And what we offer through our Green Strategic Partnership is to create a platform where Danish companies and Danish competences, whether it's being within the green hydrogen, whether it's within renewables as such, it could be wind, offshore and onshore energy grid systems and so forth. We are ready to work with India. We are ready to inspire India. We're not telling India to do X, Y, Z, but we have a range of technologies that we like to bring to India. Having said that, we also know that one of the top priorities of the Indian government is access to the green financing. And that I just explained what we are going to do. But we have also just recently added a special counselor here at the embassy who will only be talking green financing. And his role, obligation is to find out what is green financing, how to get access to it, and so forth. And we all know that you cannot move ahead in a country, the huge country of India with 1.3 billion, with aspirations. You need to secure that there's an influx and inflow of green financing.
Oh, indeed. But moving on and looking at the bigger picture, if I can say that, about COP26 itself, one of the key goals has been, of course, to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade. And in that sense, there are some laggard countries. There are countries which are not very enthusiastic about meeting the climate change targets set in Paris in 2015 or even subsequently. In that regard, how would Denmark work with other countries to make sure that everybody is on board and everybody sort of agrees to a very positive outcome?
I agree that the picture is a little bit mixed, but the Danish government is fully committed to work with all countries in order to secure that we really will respect the necessity. And the last UN report makes no doubt about that we are heading really towards the wrong direction. So the COP26 is very, very important. Our minister is coming to India to engage with India. And he has been traveling many places, having had many discussions and so forth. So I think whether you are developed or is still developing, we all have an obligation to find the best way of coping with all these challenges. And the same goes for India. I don't see any big issue how you do it, as long as you do something. And India is developing its own way to cope with the climate changes, and that's fine. I mean, what you are doing with the renewable energy sector is remarkable. 450 gigawatt of renewables. That's a fantastic, and you just crossed the line of 100 gigawatt. So that's a huge contribution. A small drop, small step in India, given the size of India, the scale of India, will have a huge impact. So whatever can be done, we have to do jointly. And I'm pretty sure that Honorable Prime Minister Modi and his government and India will do whatever they can. And make no mistake of the fact that India stayed within the Paris Agreement. And India is committed. And as far as I know, and following my insights, India has already really delivered on the Paris Agreement goals. So that's important. We all know that we have to do it. And that's why we hope this Green Strategic Partnership, as well as the upcoming visit next week of our Minister for Climate, will take us a little bit further into that cooperation. It's needed cooperation bilaterally, regionally, and globally. There's no way around it. You have to do it. There's no choice. But
there is no choice indeed. In fact, one statistics is actually revealing over the past 50 years, weather, climate, and water extremes have killed on a daily basis at least 115 people and cost $202 million every day in terms of damages, in terms of economic losses because of climate change. So this is a clear and present danger, as they say. But the fact is that both the developing world and the developed world have to really collaborate. One final question to you, Ambassador, as you sort of get ready for your Minister of Climate Change coming here to India, is the likelihood of no consensus on a positive outcome at COP26. If that happens, let's say hypothetically, then also I think countries like Denmark and India must still work together bilaterally and perhaps then start lobbying for better technology and better green finance for even smaller countries. Would you agree on that?
Of course, I will agree. There's no alternative to continued cooperation. But of course, I don't accept the fact that we should not reach a consensus in COP20 or at COP26. It's a must. And everybody and all the responsible leaders from across all segments of the societies, as well as from various countries, have to really come to a meaningful agreement so we can move forward. And I mean, I'm sorry to bring in the pandemic that we have been exposed to, but I think that showed that we need to move ahead. We cannot just accept things. If we want to get out of these crises and things like that, then we have to move forward. And I tell you, the pandemic has cost a lot of lives, a lot of money and livelihoods of people. But the cost in the longer term of not doing anything or just a little on climate is going to be much more important and much more substantial. So we can't afford it. Let's act green, let's think green, and let's reach the consensus. We all need to compromise, but there's nothing but the climate. Climate is something that we have to deal with. You cannot really move out, so climate comes first.
Very well said. I think one can call it the last word on the subject as far as this interview is concerned. You put it very well, and I think hopefully there will be a strategy, a collective strategy, and of course the fight must go on because it only sort of ensures the future of our children and our grandchildren as we go forward. Because if they don't inherit an earth which they can really live peacefully, then we haven't done our duty for them. That's something that we must ensure. But thank you very much for your time, Ambassador. And we must continue to have a dialogue and we must continue to work together. Thank you very much for being our guest on this special series.
Thank you very much indeed. And thank you really for inviting me. I'm green, I live green, I think green, and we all have to live green and act green. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So do watch StratNews Global, and of course this interview. You know where to reach us, what comments to give us. Feedback, of course, is welcome, and keep subscribing to our YouTube channel, and also our social media handles are there for you to follow. We will keep coming back to you with interesting discussions such as these. This is a special series for climate change and climate change mitigation in the run-up to the COP26 conference coming up in the UK in the first week of November. I'm Nitin Gokhale. You're on StratNews Global.